Unit 1, Foundations of Geometry, question number 2. So the question says we're trying to find the distance between the 2 points and round the answer to the nearest tenth. So first things first, we need to label our points, okay? So step 1, label points. So label points. So this would be my first point that I was given. So this would be my x1, y1. Because it's my second point, this would be my x2, y2. So now we're going to do step 2. So step 2, use distance formula. So use distance formula. So the formula for distance, guys, is the square root. So distance formula is the square root of the change in x squared. So that would be x2 minus x1 squared plus the change in y squared. So y2 minus y1 squared. So let's go ahead, let's try to substitute these values. So I'm going to go ahead and write square root. So my x2 is negative 4, minus my x1 is 0, and then we're going to square that, plus my y2, which was negative 3, minus, because in my formula is a minus, my y1, which is negative 9. And we're going to square that, okay? So now we're going to calculate negative 4 minus 0. So negative 4 minus 0, you can't subtract or add 0, so that's still negative 4. So we have negative 4 squared. And then we're going to add that to negative 3 minus negative 9. So when you have a negative beside a negative, it turns into a positive. So negative 3 plus 9 will be positive 6. So this would be positive 6 squared. So now we're going to calculate. So we're going to have the square root of negative 4 squared is negative 4 multiplied by negative 4, which is positive 16, plus 6 squared is 6 times 6, which is 36. So then now we're going to go ahead and add these numbers together. So 16 plus 36, I believe, is 52. So we have the square root of 52. So I don't know what the square root of 52 is. So this is where my calculator comes into play. So I'm going to go ahead and click my calculator. And then I'm just going to type in the square root of 52. So the square root of 52 would be 7.211. When it says round to the nearest tenth, you look at the second number after the decimal point. If that number is 5 or larger, you round the next number to the left up. Because it's not 5 or larger, it would just be 7.2. So again, just like that. So let's try the next question. So the next question again says we're trying to find the distance between 2 points. So step 1, we label points. So that's what step 1 is. So step 1, this will be my x1, y1, x2, y2. So now we're going to use distance formula. So we know distance formula is this formula right here. Okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and just use it because I already have it written here. Actually, I'm just going to write it again because it doesn't hurt to write it again. The more you write it, the more you'll remember it. So distance formula is the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So we would have the square root of my x2 is positive 4 minus my x1, which is negative 2. We're going to square that, plus y2, my y2 is negative 6, minus my y1, which is negative 4. And we're going to square that also. So I'm just going to go ahead and calculate this. So I'm going to calculate inside of the parentheses first. So we're going to do 4 minus negative 2. When you have a negative beside a negative, it turns into a positive. So 4 plus 2 is 6. So we have 6 squared plus, we have negative 6 minus negative 4. When you have a negative beside a negative, it turns into a positive. So negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. And we're going to square that. So now we're going to have the square root of 6 squared is 36 because it's 6 times 6. So again, not 6 times 2, so 6 times 6. And then negative 2 squared will be negative 2 multiplied by negative 2, not negative 2 multiplied by positive 2. So negative 2 squared is positive 4. 36 plus 4 is 40. So we have the square root of 40. And then I just go ahead and use my calculator right here and type in 40. So I got 6.32. So again, you're rounding to the nearest tenth. So you look at the second number after the decimal point. And if that number is 5 or larger, you round up. Because it's not 5 or larger, it would just be 6.3. So again, just like that. So let's try the next question. So the next question, again, we're finding the distance. So step 1 would be label points. So this would be my x1, y1, and then this would be my x2, y2. Now I'm going to use a distance formula. So what I'm going to do for this question, guys, is that after I write the distance formula, I'm going to show you how to just plug it into the calculator. Okay, so again, sometimes just calculating this by hand might be tedious. It might take a long time. So I'm going to show you how to just use a calculator to help you. All right, or to just check your answer. So again, I'm going to show you to use a calculator so it can help you to check your answer. So again, I'm going to plug in the numbers. So my x2 is positive 7, so parentheses positive 7. And then I'm subtracting my x1, which is positive 9 squared, plus my y2. My y2 is positive 5, minus my y1, which is positive 8, and I'm going to square that. So I'm going to show you how to just plug this in your calculator. So what you do first is that you press the square root, and then you write a parentheses. Inside of that parentheses, you're going to write 7 minus 9, close the parentheses, then you're going to square it. Then you're going to press the right arrow so that you're no longer at the exponent, or just press underneath the radical. You're going to press the plus sign. Make sure it's not on the outside. So you see how this is on the outside? That means your answer is going to be wrong. It needs to be underneath the square root like this. Then I write another parentheses, 5 minus 8, close parentheses, then I press the exponent, which is that squared, and I got 3.60. You look at the 0, because it's not 5 or larger, the 6 does not round up. So my answer would be 3.6. So again, I could have calculated that with just by hand. So I would have the square root of 7 minus 9 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is positive 4. Plus 5 minus 8 is negative 3. Negative 3 squared is positive 9. 4 plus 9 would be the square root of 13. And let's see what the square root of 13 is. So the square root of 13 is the exact same answer we have right here. So again, you will get the same answer if you did it by hand or if you utilize the calculator. So let's try the next question. So the next question says, again, we're trying to formulate the distance. We're going to use the calculator to help us. Okay, so before I write the distance formula, what should I have done first? I should have labeled points. So let's actually label the points first. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So let's go ahead and let's write the distance formula. So square root of x squared, or x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So now I'm going to plug in the numbers. So my x2 is 0 minus my x1, which is 5 squared, plus my y2, which is 2, minus my y1, which is negative 3 squared. So again, you're just going to put this in the calculator just as is. So you're going to have the square root of parentheses 0 minus 5 squared plus, so I have to do it again. I accidentally press enter. So 0 minus 5 squared plus parentheses 2 minus negative 3 squared. And I got 7.07. So again, you look at the second number after the decimal point. Because this 7 is indeed 5 or larger, the 0 is going to go up by 1 point. So my answer is going to be 7.1. So again, My answer is going to be 7.1, which would have been the same answer you'd have gotten if you calculated by hand. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. Negative 5 squared is 25. Plus 2 minus negative 3, and negative beside a negative turns into a positive. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 squared is 25. So this would be the square root of 25 plus 25, which is 50. And let's see what the square root of 50 is. So the square root of 50 is the exact same answer that we got. So again, just like that.